Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey guys, I was just thinking, if the Browns aren't high on any of the quarterbacks in this upcoming draft, I think there might be a solution, even though it's a little bit unorthodox. I think the Browns should take a flyer and sign Kyle Trask. I was high on him coming out of Florida, and he was sitting behind Tom Brady for 2 years, and then the Buccaneers bring in Baker Mayfield, and he'll be sitting behind him for 2 years. I think he has a lot of upside, and he was a second-round pick who we haven't seen much of. And I think it'd be worth it for the Browns to bring him in and see what he has, because we haven't seen much of him, and he was a second-round pick, and he really doesn't have many miles on him. So just my thoughts. Go Browns.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Fred, I don't know enough about Kyle Trask because I haven't seen him play. I think they need to bring in, if they don't go out and trade or sign a free agent of a guy who's played a lot, I think you bring in as many people as you can and let it sort it out who you think you can run an effective offense with. So, I would prefer the guys you bring in have some starts under their belt in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote something about this last week. I mean, kind of a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush. I know everybody's kind of frustrated, with Jameis Winston, the interceptions, but there's no question that he's similar to Joe Flacco, that he runs an offense that Kevin Stefanski can make things happen with. And there's a stretch when he was with the Saints, when he took over from Drew Brees after Brees retired, that he was 5-2 in the first 7 games. He threw 14 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And we asked him last week, why was he so efficient then? Lack of turnover. And he said they had a really good running game. And I think that contributes to this. The Browns do not have a running game. Nick Chubb is not the Nick Chubb of 5.3 yards a carry. So they find themselves having to throw 40 or more times a game. And that doesn't bode well for a quarterback anyway. But especially if they're behind, Winston, we know, sometimes throws the ball instead of eating it or throwing it away. So I don't know. Unless you can find somebody is more effective than Winston, then I would at least keep him around. If you want to draft one, you better feel good about him. Right now, they're sitting 5th in the draft. If they lose out and they're in the top 5, I still don't know if there's a quarterback that will turn things around as a rookie. But usually, you got to get the first or second one. And the Giants and the Raiders are ahead of the Browns right now. And I pretty much am sure they're going to draft a quarterback. So, even sitting at fifth spot, you might not get the top 1 or 2. You might get the third choice. And I don't believe in just taking a quarterback to take a quarterback unless you feel like they are the guy we want. And I think, how about this? If Kevin Stefanski is your guy and you signed him long term, let him pick who he wants to work with, whether it's Kirk Cousins, whether it's Jameis Winston, whether it's Kyle Trask. He did well with Case Keenum in Minnesota. He did well with Cousins in Minnesota. He's had a tracker. He did well with Jacoby Brissett here. He did well with Mayfield, had one of his best years. So as far as Kyle Trask, I don't know why Tampa Bay didn't go with him and they decided to pay Baker Mayfield, but I'd have to think they know the situation a little better than you or I would. So I guess if the Browns really want to compete next year, they need to have somebody step in like Minnesota did with Sam Darnold. Did anybody see that coming? I think he's 10-2, and here's a recycled guy. So I don't know who that is. That's why Stefanski and Barry get paid millions of dollars to know what fits and what would be the best choice going forward. A high draft pick at quarterback, a veteran, an end of the road guy. I don't know. But otherwise, you draft a guy as a developmental quarterback. I don't know if you're going to go anywhere soon.